excited about the upcoming season. Edmonton Oilers fans certainly excited about some of the changes maybe being made up there this offseason. None bigger than bringing in Zach Hyman from Toronto, as they mentioned, Duncan Keith, Warren Foegele, Cody Ceci, and Derek Ryan. Some of the new adds to the roster there with Connor McDavid and company in Edmonton. Connor said, get excited, fans. The fans are excited. What are the expectations up there in Edmonton this year?
Well, Edmonton finds himself in not quite in the elite team that just has to wait for the playoffs to be evaluated, but they're kind of getting towards that area, especially in that Pacific Division, where they should be one of the favorites to make the playoffs. And like so many teams that have struggled in the playoffs, haven't done what they wanted. While the regular season is very important for him, he's going to try to accumulate more goals, assists, individual awards, gel as a team. It really matters what they do in the playoffs, because they haven't threatened a deep run. And they just haven't gotten done, despite McDavid, despite Draisaitl, the multiple hearts, the kind of talent they have on their team. You know, when you talk about qualifying round, first round, that's in his career right there. So he's not gotten outside the second round, and that's not enough for Connor McDavid. So the expectations are they figure it out during the regular season, they make the playoffs, and then the conversation starts. What should we expect? Now, Connor McDavid, they always would say, well, we expect to go deep, we expect to go far, but probably have to revisit that around playoff time. But they're one of those teams, like, until they get there, they haven't really done much.
Yeah. How about Mike Smith, goaltending, right? Mike Smith comes in. We know his age. Played great last year. That was a big reason why they had success. If he doesn't keep that up, where is this team this season?
It's an area of concern. Kenny Holland wanted to address his goaltending beyond Mike Smith. Koskinen is the backup, hasn't had a good run. And while Mike Smith, you're correct, had a great year last year, fantastic. If he could do that again, they'd be in great shape. But he's in his 40s. Right. Like, it's not easy for any goaltender to back up a year like that at his age. It's hard to do. So there is a risk there because of his age and the reality of injuries and consistency and performance at that when you get a little bit older, and they don't have a backup that they trust. So if they got good goaltending last year, they'll have to get it again, but it's not guaranteed, confident, slam dunk. We love our duo, and we're locked in. They're not there. In fact, if anything happened to Mike Smith, they would probably aggressively look to make a change and add to it.
And quickly. I like what Connor McDavid said there when he was asked about, you know, the prospects of playing with a guy like Zach Hyman. I'd like to.
It's not really my job. Yeah. Don't ask me.
If you want to play with Zach Hyman, you're going to play with Zach Hyman.
Yes.
What's it going to be like for Zach Hyman to get to play with a player like Connor McDavid, and for 97 to play with a guy like Hyman?
So it's an interesting mix, because Zach Hyman just came from playing with Tavares and Marner and Matthews. So a lot of times when guys get big contracts, guys who are maybe not superstars themselves, there is this desire to try to live up to that contract by changing your game. And I got to be more productive. I got to be fancier. I got to stick handle. I got to do things that I don't usually do. What is great about Zach Hyman is that he knows who he is as a player. He understands that, you know, I'm not going to be able to skate with Connor McDavid. I'm not going to be able to do what he does. I'm going to do what I do the same way he did what he does, and it works so well with Austin Matthews and John Tavares. So I think that's where he likes. I mean, Zach's a good defensive player, gets in on the forecheck. He understands when to get out of the way of good players and when they need support. That's a nice intuitive feel that he will apply to Connor McDavid. And for McDavid, I think you have a guy who will go to the net, who can score goals, who's reliable defensively. So if he gets back in the zone first, you don't have to go back there every single time and dig down low. Maybe you could play some shifts up on the wing, just hanging out, resting, and then thinking about offense. It makes sense. He says, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Yeah. They signed him to play with Connor McDavid. Right. It might not work and it might change, but initially, they're going to start together.
All right. Where's the pressure as far as pressure on Connor McDavid to finally get this thing done, get this team over the hump, make a deep run in the playoffs? And where's the pressure on the team to get it done so they can keep a guy like Connor McDavid?
Well, he still has many years on his contract, right? And there's this narrative out there that, you know, he's going to be so frustrated without the playoff success that at some point he's going to be like, that's it, I want out. You're wasting my best years. I'm going to trade me. And I don't think he's there yet. I think he's several years away. He's also very realistic about how good their team is. And while they're very disappointed in losing the last couple of years in the playoffs, he's being honest with himself. He knows they're not really ready to challenge for a Stanley Cup. So I think the pressure on Connor McDavid and the organization is the same. Be good again in the regular season. We know you can do that. And then for him and for the organization, they have to have the ability to elevate their game, to get better, to play the kind of hockey in the playoffs that allows them to be successful. And he's part of that. It's not just like he did great and the other guys weren't good enough for him. He has to be better himself in the playoffs. He has to to up his game in all areas to make it happen. But I don't think the kind of pressure, if it doesn't happen, changes will be afoot. I mean, you have McDavid,
Yep.
you got Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, Nurse.
Yeah.
You're 5 guys. They're signed forever.
Oh, yes.
And so those 5 guys are not going anywhere anytime soon. And the guys around them might change, but those 5 guys are not changing regardless of what happens this year.
All right, how long do we continue to talk, or maybe we'll talk in the future, about the greatest player in the league to not win a cup at this point? Because the comparisons, look, we have a comparison board to Alex Ovechkin, who went a very long time until he won his first Stanley Cup at the age of 32, not too long ago. Is that I know that the sentiment with Ovi was he had to learn how to win, right?
Right.
Adapt to the team game to win the cup.
Right.
Is that the same conversation with McDavid right now?
It's not, but I think that conversation exists around Ovechkin. It was never accurate. Like, somehow he was just happy winning scoring titles and goal titles and didn't care. That was
only
wrong.
on one player.
It's like the narrative was entirely wrong, and he proved it wrong, thank goodness, because people said it for too long. That's not said about Connor McDavid. Nor should it be. Like, he's not chasing points in the playoffs. He doesn't care about that stuff. He's just trying to win. He's doing his very best. Yeah. But I do think, like Ovechkin, McDavid will learn and has to learn from some of the disappointments and failures in the playoffs. And how do I play to not only make myself my very best, but help my team win? I think Ovechkin learned that along the way through his disappointments, not through lack of caring, energy, or emotion, or any of that stuff, but just knowledge and experience. And I think Connor McDavid is going through those same things right now. I think the comparison's apt because good teams, and Washington was a good team for a decade, more than a decade before they finally won.
Mix, yep.
And Edmonton's been a pretty good team for the last few years as well. So there is a comparison there. Plenty of time. It's not easy. We show Ovechkin because they're part of the salary cap era, and everyone will say, what about Sakic? Or not Sakic, what about Yzerman and Modano?
Yeah.
And those kind of players who had to change their game. I'm not saying McDavid has to change his game, but, maturity, defense, experience will help him go further in the playoffs, which is what he wants.
Time. Yeah, he's still a young guy. It's hard to believe.
He's been around for a long time, but he's still very young.
He's done a lot of stuff and has a lot of hardware to prove it.